What's up, you guys? It's Jason Space, and I know this video is kind of early. I usually post once a week, but I've just been thinking about what had happened the other 2 times I was in the hospital, and it really is such an interesting story to tell, so I couldn't wait another week, so here we are. Extra video of the week. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about my second time in the hospital, and this time it was the beginning of April, meaning that the whole world was in quarantine. Still is in quarantine right now, but during this time, I had to go to a mental hospital during quarantine, which was interesting in itself. It was mostly the same procedure getting into the hospital that I go to. You had to go through the ER and be referred. They take you by an ambulance. It was all the same stuff. But when I got to the hospital, I did see a few changes. There weren't too many, but we weren't allowed to have visitors. Usually every single day we'd be allowed to have an hour to talk with family or friends that came up to visit. That was all taken away. Since we couldn't be close together in one room and a dining room, plus you're taking your masks off to eat, it's just a recipe for disaster. So instead we had our food delivered to us to our rooms. And I did notice that the quality of the food was less good as when I was there the first time, and I think that's obviously because of the coronavirus. I did make a few good friends when I was in the hospital, and we still talk to this day, but that is not what this video is about. This video is about me meeting a certain kid, and I'm not going to use his real name, obviously, so I'm going to call him Sam. When I first met him, he seemed really nice. He seemed like a normal kid. And actually, while I was there during that time, a friend from school was there at the same time, and they knew it before me, but I basically found out that Sam is my toxic ex's little brother. And that was a lot to take in. But he seemed sympathetic about what had happened. I explained to him why I broke up with his older sibling. He seemed like he really wanted to know more about her, and after talking with staff, after this whole experience finally stopped, I did learn that he actually hasn't been in contact with her, and from what it sounded like, he really did miss her. So I tried to inform him on what I know about her from the past few years I've known her. But days into knowing Sam, we were in group therapy one day, or I think it was school, I'm not really sure, but we had pieces of paper, and he had passed a note to me that said that he had a crush on me. And I had a girlfriend at the time, but I was still nice turning him down. I didn't want to let him down hard because we were friends at the time. I'm using friends as a very not a good word for it. While we were in the same group therapy, he had asked me for my number, so he could continue to talk to me when I got discharged, because apparently he was supposed to be in there for a longer period, so he wanted to be able to talk to me. And even though I really didn't want to, because this kid was already giving me odd vibes, so I kind of did want to get away from him, but I did give him my phone number eventually. And let me just say, giving this kid my phone number was the biggest mistake I have ever made, but that's for the next video in the series. Since a lot of it didn't happen in this story, it's part 3 that you want to get excited for. But Sam, he would still try to be as close to me as possible. He was always around me, even when I was talking to other people or playing a game with someone. He'd come over and say, "Hey Adrian, can you play a game with me instead of these 7 other people that you're in the middle of a game with?" And sometimes I would give in just because I didn't want to upset him, or I would just say I'm busy, and usually that was the better answer. I didn't really mind him following me around that much. I mean, he's just looking for friends is what I thought, so I felt bad, and I'd always hang out with him because from what I could see, he didn't really talk to anyone else. But that was until he decided to do something that pushed it way too far for me, and I think for anyone. One morning when we were having group therapy, we were in this room where there was a long table, and I was in one of the chairs that was like this, how I'm sitting right now, with the wall behind me and the table in front, and there was another seat available. So he decided to sit there, and I didn't think much of it. Like, we were just going to have group therapy. I think we were doing art, so we were like coloring things, and everything group was going okay until he decided to take his hand, move it across over to me, and touch my crotch. In the moment, I didn't know what to do. If you watched my past video, you'll know why I had troubles with a kid that is called Mason. And those instances caused me to be terrified to be around guys in the fear that I would be touched or handled in a uncomfortable way. But when Sam had done what he's done, I was frozen. I couldn't react. I couldn't stop him. I completely froze because all of those past traumas and all those thoughts and memories just started coming back in that very instant, causing me to just shut down. I really wish I reported this instance to the hospital staff because I didn't know it then, but I actually would have been saving a lot of other people from him because apparently I was not his only victim of sexual assault. But don't worry guys, he got reported in the end, but that's also for the next video. But I kept telling him that I had a girlfriend, and he was so persistent with that not being true. He had convinced himself that somehow we were dating, even though I told him that that wasn't true. I have a girlfriend outside of the hospital right now. And he would do things like try to hold my hand or be sure to stand directly behind me during volleyball games that we would play. And he would actually say to me when I was walking past him to like switch places because it's volleyball, it rotates, he would get up close to me. And the reason was a quote from him that he had a very nice view. And he would whisper this into my ear as we were passing, and it just made me feel gross. And saying that it's a perfect view, that was just really, really uncomfortable. All of this, it was like a nightmare for me because it was not even a year ago when I was finally able to be comfortable around guys and not thinking they're going to do what Mason had done to me. And please go check out my previous video so you'll know who Mason is. But after finally getting through that, here's this kid that stumbles into my life that is even worse than Mason. But after about a week of being in the hospital, I finally was discharged and free from Sam, or I thought I was free from him, but I was so wrong. I gave him my number. This was far from over, and you'll get the rest of this story in part 3, because that is the 3rd time I went into the hospital, which I'm going to spoil a little, happened only a month later from this time. But I'm going to wrap this up now. Please comment down below if you want me to do the 3rd part in this series as my next video, or if you just want something in between. But if you guys really hate cliffhangers, then I'd be more than happy to film the 3rd video of this series. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a beautiful day, and please stay safe.